Welcome to Reggie Sports Talk. It's been a long break, long semester, but we are back. We're going to be talking about the mock draft for the NFL. The first round of the NFL draft starts this Thursday, and we're going to be doing that draft with my guests, Drew and Jack, right now. You know them, you love them. Let's get into these draft picks of the first round. So, in the first round of the 2021 NFL draft, I had the Jacksonville Jaguars selecting Trevor Lawrence, quarterback out of Clemson. I mean, everyone has Trevor Lawrence going to the Jags. They've had Trevor Lawrence number one before we knew who the number one pick is. So, yeah, that's why I have Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, I mean, I think this guy is kind of the undisputed number one, even amongst us. I think it's pretty much a lock.
Yeah, I mean, we've already seen the whole fans donating to him and everything. So I think is a pretty easy one to make.
Number two, I have the New York Football Jets taking Zach Wilson, quarterback out of BYU. I don't know what it is. I would have thought this would be Justin Fields. Just how the media is talking, I couldn't put Fields at two. I think he should be at two, but just how the media's come around Zach Wilson, I had to put him there at number two.
Yeah, I think there's just a whole community of people that are around Zach Wilson being the number two, and I don't exactly get it, but I trust their analysis.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you guys. It kind of just came out of nowhere, and just like over a week, it just slowly transformed, and now all of a sudden, like I don't see anyone else taking Justin Fields. I think they could take Justin Fields here. I mean, I don't know if anyone's talked to the Jets on what they're gonna do, but I mean, obviously they're probably set on Trevor Lawrence until they won a game. So, I guess Zach Wilson might have a better arm or whatever they're saying. So we'll see.
All right, number three, 49ers have the pick from a trade from the Dolphins via the Texans. I have Mac Jones, quarterback from Alabama. I mean, I just look at what Jimmy G was supposed to be before all the injuries. And he plays a very similar style to Mac Jones, can run when you need to, but is going to stay in the pocket and throw. And that's why I think the 49ers will take Mac Jones to replace Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah, I mean, I think he fits the schemes. We've heard him talking, the 49ers talking about Mac, and I mean, he's the best pocket passer and the best quarterback in the draft. So I think the 49ers are making a good selection here.
Bias.
Honestly, this one kind of confuses me more than the Zach Wilson one, just because I feel like you kind of have the QB prototype of being mobile, and Mac Jones is not that. They talked about how it seemed like they were pretty set on it, and the fact that they're trading up like two and they're getting rid of two picks just to get Mac Jones here is interesting. I saw it seems a little more questionable that they might go Trey Lance, but I feel like they'll probably stick with what they originally thought with going with Mac Jones. But I mean, it's kind of like zigging when everyone else is zagging with taking a QB like Mac Jones that's not as mobile like a Trey Lance or anything like that.
So for the Falcons, number four pick, I have them taking Kyle Pitts, tight end out of Florida. I mean, I don't think the Falcons are ready to move on from Matty Ice. That was the one person who I thought about maybe having the Falcons take Justin Fields, but I don't know if they're ready to move on from Matt Ryan. And then they already have Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley, so they don't really need wide receivers. They have Todd Gurley at running back. Their defense is just their defense. I feel like it's a good defense on paper, but has struggled in the past couple of years. So I felt like one position they really needed an upgrade at was tight end, which is why I gave them the best tight end in the draft.
Yeah, I kind of went with the same logic. I focused on Julio and Matt Ryan and just how they're going to need to put some offensive weapons to replace those guys. So I thought they might go quarterback, but then once I looked into it more, it seemed like Kyle Pitts, who I think was an outstanding player at Florida. He just can be super dynamic.
Yeah, I think he's pretty much one of the best offensive like non-QB players. I think if they get him though, that pretty much means Julio Jones is on his way out at some point probably. But I think they could take a QB here. You mentioned them taking Justin Fields, especially if Justin Fields is on the board. They're probably like, what are these idiots doing in front of us? And who knows if the Falcons will ever get this high again. I mean, they might be bad another year. What QBs will be available? I mean, you're guaranteed to have one of the top four QBs here, so they might take one. But if they evaluated Kyle Pitts to be one of the best receivers or tight ends, then I mean, you go with him, I think.
All right. Bengals, number 5. A lot of people have the Bengals taking that wide receiver out of LSU, blanking on his name right now. Um, yeah, that wide receiver out of LSU, Chase. To have him taking him, but I think the Bengals need to protect Joey Burrow. We saw Joey Burrow's worst enemy was his offensive line, who weren't able to block and protect for him, which is why I have the Bengals taking Penny Sewell, offense tackle out of Oregon. I just feel like he needs that help on the offensive line so he's not injured again.
Yeah, this guy was a monster in college, and Joe Burrow, I feel like this was his request. I feel like he probably went up to them and told him, "You need to give me an offensive line. You're going to ruin my career." So that's why I think they're making this pick if they make it.
Yeah, it's a real interesting one because you have Joe Burrow probably wants an O lineman, but then you could get Jamar Chase, who's his teammate. I think he's kind of at a crossroads. The Bengals obviously could go receiver here. There's enough O linemen, I think, to maybe get one second round. But if Penei Sewell's as good as he's made out to be, I think it's a like for sure a pick for the Bengals.
All right, number 6, the Dolphins. Got this pick from the Eagles. I have them taking Jamar Chase, wide receiver out of LSU. Like I talked about, maybe he'd go to the Bengals, but I think he will go to the Dolphins if the Bengals don't take him. They got a young quarterback in Tua that they've been working with, and they've also just made some other moves that I feel like they're kind of in a win now. And one way that the Dolphins needed help was at wide receiver, so I feel like bringing him in would be very helpful.
Yeah, same thing. Just adding another weapon onto the field to give to us something to throw at when he's ready.
Yeah, this is pretty much best player available, I think. I mean, I don't think the Dolphins really have any needs other than receiver. Like, I mean, maybe a line of running back, which they could get later on, though.
All right, number 7, the Detroit Lions. I've been picking Jalen Waddle, wide receiver out of Alabama. My reason for this is because they lost Marvin Jones and Kenny Galladay this past offseason. So they kind of need to build up these wide receivers, especially after they brought Jared Goff in. And Jalen Waddle is the second best wide receiver in this draft that we've seen get recruited. So I feel like they'll bring him in here.
I just went for the cornerback position and took the best cornerback available just because I think they're still looking for I think the guy they drafted last year out of Ohio State, either he was injured and came back late or he just didn't show up when he came back. But I think they're looking for that like filler role as that cornerback 1.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the same boat as you, RJ, but I went to Devontae Smith just because I think he's like the safer pick because he's shown he can produce. Obviously, Waddle had the injury; he was the better receiver beforehand, but I think you go with Smith, especially after he won the Heisman. I mean, with losing Kenny Galladay, I think you go receiver here. You have Jared Goff. You could go quarterback if you really are trying to get a permanent solution. If you want to take like Justin Fields or Trey Lance, but I honestly think they might trade here. I just don't know who they'd trade with.
All right. Pick 8 goes to the Carolina Panthers. However, I think the Chicago Bears will make a trade here. I have them trading up to get Justin Fields, QB out of Ohio State. I think the Bears have waited too long in the draft to wait for Justin Fields to fall and realize teams after them after this 8th pick aren't going to wait for someone to fall. The Panthers just traded for Sam Darnold and they still have Teddy Bridgewater, so they don't need a quarterback. They got 2 under contract. So I think the Bears will be able to make a trade for this year's pick, next year's pick, and maybe like a 2/3 and move up to this 8th to get Justin Fields.
Yeah, I went for receiver actually just because I thought this was kind of a best player available in my eyes pick. I could see them trading totally to the Bears because the Bears want, or it's rumored that the Bears want to move up and grab a quarterback, and they have a good spot for that. But I think it's hard to see Jalen Waddle on the board when you have two decent quarterbacks, and one in Sam Darnold that I think can be great. I think giving them a weapon with a first round guy like Jalen Waddle Especially when you have a decent offense already. I think adding that weapon could be big for them.
Yeah, I think with this pick or the Lions pick, you're guaranteed to see a trade just because the amount you can get is absurd, probably, if Trey Lance and Justin Fields are still on the board. And I think I chose the Bears because I'm assuming the Bears will be the stupidest to give them way more than they should. And they'll get the pick, they'll get the quarterback they want in Justin Fields. But I think the Panthers, they don't really have an insane need. They have Sam Darnold. I think they're just going to see how this year goes. And maybe you can get more picks for next year and kind of do that rebuild.
All right, at number 9, the Denver Broncos. I have them taking Trey Lance, QB out of North Dakota State. I don't know what it is. Drew Lock looked good. He sounded like he was going to be a good pick, maybe their next franchise quarterback, but something just doesn't seem to be clicking. Maybe it's because the talent he faced at Mizzou wasn't actually that good. I don't know, but we'll see. Maybe he'll go somewhere else and it'll spark his career. But I think because of that, the Denver Broncos will be taking Trey Lance.
I think kind of like what Jack said with the earlier pick, with the 8th pick, I think that the Broncos here, like taking a quarterback could be a good move, but I think the Bears will be wanting to trade up because they know the Broncos might make that quarterback pick. And I feel like, I don't know, the Bears have never been great with drafting, so I feel like they won't trade the 8th spot when they should, and then they'll realize they want the pick. They'll trade 9, and they'll just throw a ton of action at them, and then get the 9th pick and take Justin Fields here after giving away way too much.
Yeah, I think the Broncos have had enough of testing with Drew Lock. Sadly, as much as I want to see him succeed, I think you have to take a quarterback here if Trey Lance is on the board. But honestly, there's so many situations where a QB won't be available here. The Lions, Panthers, any of them could take a quarterback that the Broncos could end up trading this one. But we'll see.
All right, pick number 10, the Dallas Cowboys. This is an off year for the Cowboys. Dak Prescott got injured. Ezekiel Elliott didn't do well. Overall, I think their offense is a good unit, which is why I have them taking Patrick Surtain, the second cornerback out of Alabama. I just don't feel like they need another wide receiver. CeeDee Lamb, give him more time with Dak Prescott. They got a good tight end. I just don't feel like they need anything on offense, but that defense just looked horrendous and horrible. I don't know if it was the play calling or what, but they need a stud in there, which is why I'm having them take this man.
Yeah, I agree with the logic there. I will, with the draft that I have set up right now, I have Devontae Smith still on the board at pick 10. And I think that if you have that player on the board who just won the Heisman and had an incredible season on the board at pick 10, I think you have to pick him regardless of what you need. I think he's just going to be that good.
Yeah, kind of same as you are, Jay. I think the offensive unit's not the biggest need right now. I think you have the players. You just need to figure out more play calls and stuff like that. I think if you see cornerback from Alabama, that's enough to get your eyes there. So I think Surtain gets the Cowboys' eyes here and goes 10.
All right, pick number 11, the New York Giants. I have them taking a J.C. Horn, a cornerback out of South Carolina. Reason for this is because I didn't really know a lot of the Giants' needs, but I felt like offense, they got Kenny Galladay signed. They have Saquon Barkley. It seems like they're still rolling with Daniel Jones. They have Evan Ingram at tight end. So I just went to the defense, and I feel like they might need a corner, and this guy's really good. So I should have him going to the Giants.
Yeah, I kind of thought the same thing in terms of offense being strong enough for the Giants right now. It's not a Super Bowl offense, but it's not their weakest spot. And then I looked on the defense and it said they needed a few positions, and one of them was the defensive tackle position. So I just saw this guy as the best talent available.
Yeah, I think they're pretty. I mean, a corner wouldn't be a bad pick, but I think they have. I can't remember what his name is. It's like Bradbury or something. I can't remember what it is exactly, but I think defensive tackle is probably more of a need. I couldn't tell you one guy on the Giants D line right now. So I think it's just a solid pick, best player available on defense.
All right, pick number 12. The Philadelphia Eagles have this from the Dolphins and the 49ers. This is where I have Devontae Smith getting picked. I think the Eagles want to make up from last year when they picked the wrong wide receiver. They let Justin Jefferson drop down and the Vikings got him. And I think if Devontae Smith's there, the Eagles will make up for that and say, hey, look, if we know how to draft a wide receiver, here he is, fans, don't hate us.
I went against the wide receiver pick and I went with J.C. Horn because I think they picked up Darius Slay from the Lions, if I'm correct there. And I think just picking a young guy underneath him, this guy had talent coming out of South Carolina, but I think that just having a veteran like Darius Slay, if he can bring up J.C. Horn as a younger Darius Slay Jr., I think that's a great pick.
Main reason I mean, they picked Rieger last year, right? So I think, I mean, picking receivers is again a little bit risky, and now you're going for one position. The rest of your team, you're not drafting anyone. But I think if this is kind of the year you want to test Jalen Hurts and like get to really see if he's good, and you don't want to use the excuse of, oh, he didn't have any receivers, I think you go out and get one. Most likely Waddle or Smith will be left on the board here. There's a shot that they aren't, though. If they aren't, I'd go cornerback. But if one of them is, I think you take them.
All right, pick number 13. The Los Angeles Chargers. I haven't taken Rashard Slater out of Northwestern. I just think he's the better. I see who you guys have. I just think he's the better out of the two. And we all know it. The Chargers need help on their offensive line. Justin Herbert's been played really great football, and he just needs some help protecting him because he gets hit a lot.
Yeah, I didn't watch film on either of these guys. I just saw like the reports, and it seemed like Darisaw was rated higher on most of them, but it's just kind of a position pick.
Yeah, I mean, same thing as Drew. I think they're pretty much in the same situation as the Bengals with their an O-line away from being good. Chargers have a great defense. They have the receivers. So I think if you just take any of these O-linemen, you'll be seen as a good pick here.
All right, pick number 14 on the Minnesota Vikings. This is where I have Christian Darsaw going. Reason for that is I just think the Vikings have a good offense. Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, Cook, and Cousins is an average quarterback, but has so many weapons around him that can make him above average. And I think one spot they're lacking is their offensive line, and I think that's something that they'll address. I know their defense wasn't good last year, but there was a lot of injuries in it, which is why I didn't fill a hole on defense, but went with more of an offensive pick to help them out.
Yeah, I think they're just going to strengthen the line here. Wasn't a super in-depth pick again. I think they have Justin Jefferson. Their defense isn't too bad. They got pretty strong linebackers, but then on offense, they've got some weapons too. So I think just building up the trenches isn't never going to hurt your team. And as a GM, the fans are never going to come after you.
Yeah, I mean, I think they picked up Patrick Peterson on defense. So I think they don't necessarily need a pick there. If you can keep running the ball with Dalvin Cook, keep doing it. It helps Kirk Cousins a lot probably to have an O-line to get time. Obviously, that's been the main problem with him. So you might as well take him. Obviously, I didn't take Darrisaw because I already had him off the board.
All right, pick number 15 to the Patriots. There's no quarterbacks left that the Patriots would take day one. There's day two quarterbacks that they could take. And as we've seen, Bill Belichick and the Patriots aren't afraid of using a day 2, 3, 4 quarterback and turning him into an all-star, which is why I'm getting a wide receiver and having getting Rondale Moore out of Purdue. I just feel like they want to get offensive weapons out there to actually test Kirk Cousins and see if it was a COVID or Cam Newton and see if it was a COVID year or if he's actually not as good anymore as everyone thinks he is.
I kind of went with the opposite of your logic because I thought Bill Belichick used Tom Brady, and yes, he was a old pick or a late round pick, but that's not really significant. The fact that he was a great quarterback, and I think last year it kind of showed that Bill Belichick needed Tom Brady to win games. So frankly, I think I have Trey Lance on the board still. And I think if he drops and the Patriots have a shot at him at 15, I think it's a great pick because I mean, they had the talent around Tom Brady, and I don't think Trey Lance is Tom Brady. But I mean, he's a talented quarterback, and I think Bill Belichick is going to be able to turn any quarterback into a Super Bowl winner. So some talent could help.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if the Patriots traded up and got a quarterback, honestly, like the Bears, if they were able to get there instead of the Bears. I mean, I don't have a QB falling here, so I went with Micah Parsons, kind of one of the best available. I do see them. I feel like Rondale Moore is a bit of a reach, just because I don't even know if I have him going first round. I might have him going late. Um, but I almost feel like the Patriots are in rush mode because it's almost like they're on Bill Belichick time, like when he leaves, they're done type of deal. So I feel like they might be like kind of pushed to take a receiver or quarterback or something like that or trade up. But I mean, in my situation, they didn't trade up, and so I had him take a linebacker.
All right, pick number 16, Arizona Cardinals. I have them taking Caleb Farley out of Virginia Tech cornerback, just because I feel like the defense for the Cardinals is what they need to focus on this draft. They got Kyler Murray, they got a running back, they got wide receivers. I just think fix up the defense and they'll be good. And that's why I have them getting corner, especially because they lost Patrick Peterson.
Yeah, same reasoning, just strengthening up the defense. The offense showed they could produce.
Yeah, mine's the same thing. I just had J.C. Horn left on the board. It's funny though because I read something today about how they were thinking about going crazy and like trading up and trying to get one of the Alabama receivers just to give Kyler Murray as much as he can. But now that would be
Good
one
option.
I'd want to see. And they have like Hopkins and
That
like
would be fun
Smith
to
or
watch.
something like that. Because I think they said they wanted to try to get him on his rookie contract just for them to like try to win now before they have to pay him a bunch or something like that. But I see that as maybe a stretch.
I think that would just be too many cooks for them. Really quick, I just want to touch on it. You got DeAndre Hopkins. You just signed AJ Green. You still have Christian Kirk. And then another wide receiver who's going to want reps. I just think that would start too much infighting, which is
I
why I
don't think
go with that.
I don't think AJ Green or Christian Kirk are really the same level as like if a Jalen Waddle or Devontae Smith. AJ Green's been washed up, but he's had Andy Dalton throwing to him, so
Yeah, we'll see. All right, pick number 17. Raiders. I have them taking a Micah Parsons, linebacker, Penn State. I don't know. I just feel like that's a Raiders move. When I think Raiders, I just think of random draft picks. They've taken people in rounds they shouldn't have taken them in yet. And I just feel like they'll take a linebacker. I don't know if they need one, but it just seems like something that Gruden would do.
yeah, I see that. I think their defense, from what I remember, wasn't super bad. Their offensive line could always be beefed up, and I still have Slater on the board here. So with Josh Jacobs, why not get a lineman to have him run behind?
Yeah, same thing. I think their offense has been looking good. Aguilar had a good year. Ruggs seems to not look too bad. And I mean, I wasn't saying. I wasn't saying. Okay.
Yeah.
But I think with Josh Jacobs, I think you have to build the O line if you're that's kind of the guy you want to build around with him and Waller. I think they have a chance to make the playoffs, so we'll see where they go with this.
Pick number 18, the Miami Dolphins. This is their second pick. I have them taking Najee Harris, running back out of Alabama. I just think it's your second pick in the first round. You're just going to pick who's the best left on the board, and I think that is Najee Harris who's left. And just to add an already explosive offense, they do have that one running back who did really well last year, but I feel like he did well when there was someone else there to help him. So 1-2 combo of Najee Harris and the other guy with the wide receivers that they already have and the wide receiver I have them drafting, I think it would be very helpful for the Dolphins.
Yeah, I think I had the Dolphins picking a wide receiver maybe earlier, or I think it was an offensive skill position. So I don't see them going out and grabbing two skill positions as much as I think Najee Harris is the best player on the board. I just don't think they're going to go out and pick two skill positions. So I went with an interior defensive lineman, Christian Barmore. This guy was just big in run stop at Alabama.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we all had Jamar Chase earlier. I mean, I'm always with the idea that an O lineman's better than a running back in the first round. I think you'd much rather have the running back they had last year than picking Najee Harris, and he doesn't have holes to run through. He obviously had him at Alabama, so I think it's risky to take without an O line. So I think you just take an O lineman here. Plus, you have Tua, who's mobile. And I think the key is to get him time. He had his struggles last year. So giving him more time to make reads and stuff like that will be big.
Pick number 19, the Washington football team. I have them taking the offensive lineman listed from USC. I just think he's a good player. Will really help them. I think that's one position that they need to build a little bit of strength in. I think they have a really great defense. Their defense carried them to a playoff spot. They got a good tight end. They're doing some things with wide receiver and running back. Taylor Heineke, Ryan Fitzpatrick, it doesn't matter who's playing. You need someone blocking for him, and that's why I have him getting an O lineman.
Yeah, this Micah Parsons was a linebacker pick. He's out of Penn State. I mean, it was more of a position pick off based off what they need. I think their offense is fine. I don't think they need a first round pick at anything. And if this linebacker can be a leader on the defense, I think that's what they'll need.
Yeah, I had the same thinking, except I already had Parsons off the board, I think. I think the only other move for them would be to trade up and get a quarterback. I think that's really the only option here if you don't trade up. But I mean, their defense is already really good. They have receiver, they have a running back. I think it's just QB or build up the defense even more.
All right, pick number 20. It was the Bears. We all have it going to different spots. I have it going to the Panthers, and that's when I think they'll get Christian Barmore out of Alabama. I just think it'll help with their defense. You got whatever quarterback you're using, and then you still got Christian McCaffrey. So I just have him going with Christian Barmore.
Yeah, I think the Broncos are in a weird spot. When I looked, their positions and need were plentiful. I mean, they needed guys everywhere. So I went linebacker just because I think this guy was the best available player on the board in terms of value to the team.
Yeah, for the Panthers, I think if they trade down, obviously that means you're probably rolling with Sam Darnold this year or Teddy Bridgewater. And if that's a make it or break a year for them, I think you got to go receiver. Drew, you had him taking a receiver earlier, I think. I think Rashad Bateman's a good one for them. Get Sam Darnold a weapon. You already have McCaffrey, so maybe it takes more eyes off him, lets him get more space. I think it really adds to the offense to take a receiver here.
All right, pick number 21, Indianapolis Colts. I have them taking wide receiver, Kadarius Toney out of Florida. I don't know. I just feel like they needed a wide receiver. His name kind of stuck out to me, and yeah.
Yeah, I just went to an edge rusher based off position. And then it was close between Jalen Phillips and Azeez Ojulari, however you say his name. But I just went with Jalen Phillips because it seemed like I saw his name more.
Yeah, the Colts, I feel like, don't really have many needs, especially, I mean, offensively, they're pretty good. I think they could use a wide receiver, but I just don't know if there would be one left that would be worth taking this early. Because there's kind of a big gap between like Chase, Waddle, and Smith compared to everyone else.
Kadarius
So,
Toney.
yeah, I don't know about that one, but I feel like defensive, just thinking about their team, I think defensive line's probably one of the positions that I know the least names of for that team. So,
All right, pick number 22, Titans. I've been taking Elijah Moore, wide receiver out of Ole Miss. Yeah, I just feel like they need a wide receiver.
think they have some talent at wide receiver, but I don't think you can ever have too many targets. And then taking a player from TCU just seemed risky, and that was the other one I saw. Jack is the same guy because I saw they needed a safety. But I think taking someone from Ole Miss, especially when how they performed against Alabama, I think they showed that they're probably a better team than TCU. So
TCU's program's just getting rocks for no reason. I originally had Elijah Moore in here, and then I switched it like probably a few hours ago. I mainly just thought about, I mean, if you have AJ Brown and they still have Corey Davis, right? I think so. I just don't see, if you're gonna take him, are you just gonna put him in third or second? AJ Brown's still gonna be a leading receiver. I think you go defense here. That was their major problem. We saw them lose to the Ravens in the playoffs because of their defense. A pass coverage guy is definitely something that they need.
All right, for these last couple picks, let's just go rapid fire, say their names. These are all teams that kind of have the pieces together. New York Jets, I have them taking a Travis Etienne running back from Clemson. Of course, I say that, and the next pick's the Jets. Yeah. I just feel like they need a running back with adding Zach Wilson.
Yeah, just edge rusher, defense pick, best player available.
Yeah, I took Greg Newsome, same thing. Jets have a lot of needs. I think cornerback is a better position to take here.
All right, so now these are all teams that have it together. I have the Steelers taking Jamin Davis, linebacker out of Kentucky. Najee Harris is already taken for me, and I just feel like it's a tie up to their defense.
Yeah, I see this as decent offensive line, help out your quarterback with a good run game.
Yeah, Najee Harris, because you're going to need a workhorse if you're using Big Ben in 2021. So,
all right, Jaguars. I have him taking Wyatt Davis, O-line from Ohio State. He knows Urban Meyer. He knows Urban Meyer's offense, and I feel like he's someone Urban Meyer is going to trust to block for his new quarterback in Trevor Lawrence.
I'm trusting TCU with this one, so hopefully this Trevon guy plays up to it. But I think the Jags could. I mean, you can always use a safety, and I think this guy at this point for me had dropped a little bit from his projected spot.
yeah, I think you go defense here because you went Trevor Lawrence earlier. So I went Jason O. I think I read, only reason I took him was because I think I read that Urban Meyer recruited him out of high school and really wanted him but didn't get him. So now if you can get him, I think you take him.
26 Browns. I have him getting a Joe Triton edge out of Washington. Just feel like they are going to add to their defense. Their offense is stacked.
Yeah, I feel like their offense showed they can score points, like if everyone stays healthy. So I went edge rusher as well.
Yeah, same idea, just a different guy. I went Alabama because it's Alabama pretty much.
Yeah, can't miss. Alabama.
All right, Ravens. Yeah, I have them taking a defensive tackle. I mean, they've lost some pieces so on their defense. So yeah, I'm taking tackle here.
I have them going offensive tackle here. I don't think it's necessarily something that you would need, but I mean, I think that protecting a quarterback, especially if you want him to be a franchise guy, your quarterback or your fans are never gonna get mad at you for protecting your franchise.
Yeah, they just traded their O-lineman, so I think I originally had it at O-lineman, but I think I realized I still had Jalen Phillips available, and I think he's just better that you have to take him.
All right, pick 28. I have the Saints taking an edge rusher. They lost one of their edge rushers during free agency, so I feel like they're going to add their.
Yeah, this is a wide receiver pick. This is the Bateman. I think he's good, and if he's still on the board, I think they'll take him. The offense next year will be questionable, so I think adding a weapon there can't hurt you.
Yeah, I had Caleb Farley dropping pretty far, so I figured I'd have him getting taken here. I mean, I think the Saints can kind of go anywhere here, really. So
We're gonna interrupt this program to give you some breaking news. The Packers.
Yeah.
All right, pick number 29, the Green Bay Packers. I'm taking a wide receiver. I mean, I don't think they want to piss Aaron Rodgers off again and not take a wide receiver. It'd be really funny as a Bears fan if they did that and drafted some random other quarterback or something else, but I have him taking a wide receiver and Rashawn Bateman out of Minnesota.
Yeah, this is a crybaby pick, so that's all I gotta say.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of sad to see fans pressuring them into a pick like this because, I mean, I feel like they're pretty much locked up into doing this to get Aaron Rodgers picks. But, you know, it'll probably be washed this year. So, and, you know, we'll see how much it works out. But
Pick number 30, the Buffalo Bills. I have them taking a Javonte Williams, running back out of North Carolina. I have the Clemson guy getting picked by another team earlier on. So I just thought he would be the next best running back available.
Yeah, I think Travis Etienne here is what they wanted Devin Singletary to be, sort of like an Alvin Kamara back, and I think they built the team kind of to work with that. But just Devin Singletary hasn't been strong enough to break the tackles that Alvin Kamara does in the screen game and in the short swing passing game. And I think Travis Etienne is just like a mini Alvin Kamara in the way that he's a catching running back. But he can also occasionally run through the tackles with that Devin Singletary just couldn't do.
yeah, I mean, the Bills are pretty much set on everything, I feel like. So you might as well go running back here. I saw Javonte Williams' name, never seen a clip of him in his life. So I went with the guy from Clemson because I think that's kind of what you want to do with a running back. If you're going to take one from a
Or
big
a quarterback.
deal.
Or a quarterback. In terms of taking a Clemson guy over a North Carolina guy. Make sure that's the right move.
Yeah, let's see how that Clemson guy in 2017 is doing right now. So Baltimore Ravens. I have them taking a tackle just because they lose their tackle by trading it to the Chiefs, which is so stupid. But I'm getting a new tackle.
I mean, this is about best player available pick. No, I thought this guy was just a monster. I think the Ravens are in a decent spot, and I think I had him taking this guy earlier, just to make sure he was still on the board. But then I don't think anyone's going to be taking Nick Bolton, so I'm pretty sure he's a safe pick here. I think he'll go early second round if he doesn't go here or mid second round, because I think he's actually he played SEC ball, which is the best football there is. So I mean, if you're going to prove yourself there, and he played well against Alabama, who was the undisputed best team. So I think, he's a good pick to go with here.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be angry if they did that, but I definitely would be surprised. I think the Ravens, they have to go O-line since they lost their guy. But I mean, yeah, as you talked about, going against SEC competition, the best in the world, it wouldn't be a bad pick.
All right, pick number 32. I have the Buccaneers getting a center. Their backup center was injured and isn't playing anymore, so I feel like they just need line help. So I should have them getting a Landon Dickerson center out of Alabama.
I actually have another Alabama offensive tackle on the board here, but I went with Landon Dickerson, who's the center, just because I've seen him in person. He's a tank, and so I have a huge bias, but the man's just huge, so I had to go with him.
He does indeed sound like a guy that will be pancaking a lot of people in the NFL, but I just didn't see his name really. I mean, I saw Alex Leatherwood, which I think is the other guy you're talking about, an O-lineman from Alabama.
Yeah.
But I think the Buccaneers, I mean, they got an O-lineman last year in Tristan Wirfs. I don't even really know what you do here for Buccaneers. You just won the Super Bowl, so just take someone. I just am taking Kadarius Toney,
I think it's
a receiver.
Tom Brady, a young boy out of college, very close relationship with a young boy out of college. I think that's just the right move for Tom.
Okay, so Drew wants to flex that Alabama will have the most picks in the first round, but yeah. So those are our NFL draft picks, mock draft for the 21 NFL season in the draft. What do you think? Who do you think is different than what we have? Let us know in the comments down below. Yeah, that's all the time I have. Thanks for stopping by, boys, and we'll hopefully be doing regular videos again.
Awesome.
Peace.